There are different personality types. I have a personality that does not like waiting. I can't imagine people camping overnight to get an iPhone. Or queuing up for anything. If you tell me, well, there's going to be a long line, you're not going to see me in it. Or traffic. The people that commute 2 hours each way on every given workday. I have no understanding of that ability at all. I don't like waiting. Or doctor's offices. As you get older, you wait in more of those. I remember a cartoon I saw in the New Yorker years ago. It had one of the nurses or the office assistants of the doctor's office talking to a patient. And she said, your appointment with the doctor is 11 o'clock. His appointment with o'clock. Advent is a period of waiting. It celebrates the three comings of Christ. We commemorate his birth, obviously, at Christmas. We look forward to his second coming and his coming in individually in the fullness of our lives in time. And we look forward to the presence of the Lord among us now. That's what we prepare for. That's what we are trying to be aware of, or as Mark says very plainly, watch. Pay attention. And the image that's given is people standing guard. The times that are given are the four quadrants where Roman soldiers had to change guards. So the image is of somebody standing guard, really alert, not a guard sleeping on duty. So we as Christians are supposed to be aware, attuned, not asleep, sensitive to the presence of God, to the invitations of God, to the promptings of God, to the presence of God in our lives and in other people. The Old Testament we'll read, and we read today. One thing about the people of ancient Israel, they didn't mind complaining to God. They had a lot of complaints, and nobody was going to listen to them but God, so they wrote them down and addressed them to God. Well, we have complaints, and no better person to address them to than God. Why this? How come that? I don't understand. Don't we have all those kinds of issues and questions and things that occur to us in our lives, especially as we look at the condition of the world, the abuse of so many people, the fears of oppression in many areas, the fear of war in our own. So we have complaints. But we look forward not with a kind of, queuing up kind of waiting, but the anticipation of Christmas. Let's say a child's anticipation of Christmas morning. That's waiting. But it's waiting with a great hope. It's waiting with a great eagerness. It's waiting with a great, wait. That's a very different kind of waiting than just slogging it through in traffic. And that's the kind of waiting we're called to have in the season of Advent, that anticipation, that waiting with great hope, that waiting with great confidence, that the Lord is in charge ultimately, that the Lord will see to the conclusion of this human enterprise, and that the Lord will see the conclusion of our own human enterprise and bring us to fully life in the kingdom. That's what we're celebrating. The presence of God in the future, the presence of God in the present, and not just commemorating his presence in the past. Now that we're facing a lot of obstacles, however, you will not find that as a commercially helpful project. So we're facing consumerism. Advent versus consumerism. Or quiet prayer versus advertising. Noisy advertising. Constant advertising. And you can get it at 60% off. Can't get grace at 60% off. The Lord comes and is present among us 100%. But we have to pay attention. There's so much to distract us in this season, so much to pull us apart. And yet what we're called to do is to be servants of one another, to see God in others, to serve God in others. As St. Paul says, you've got everything you need to live the Christian life in readiness for the Lord. Live it. Be watchful. Care for others in this season, not just yourself. That's another very important factor. But again, we're fighting the culture in which we are found, which is a consumerist culture making big bucks during the Christmas season. One of the things that Israel did, for example, in the Song of Songs, is they took love songs and applied them to God. That's what the book of the Song of Songs is. And I found that can be very helpful. And I've had a song in my head for the last 2 months about Advent. And I think it's helpful. Go check the words of the song, you'll find that almost all of them apply. I'm just going to refer to one line as a worthy line for this time of year. There's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone to watch over me.